Hello and welcome back to awtoolbox.com. My name's Glenn Keller, and in this demonstration we are diving into the world of workflows within Teamcenter's Active Workspace Client. Now, I'm starting off the video here standing in my inbox location in Active Workspace. Now, the inbox location is going to be your central hub for any workflow tasks that come your way. So if you've been told to go and you've got a task in your inbox, this is where you're going to come. So to get to this location, on your home page when you first log in, all you need to do is select the inbox. Now you'll note that the inbox has 3 values on it, and they are dynamic, so they'll update as you get new tasks. But if you have any past due tasks that are sitting in there, if the administrators have set up a duration, you'll see those, how many tasks you have total, accounting the ones you've read and which ones you haven't, and then new tasks that you haven't read. So just note that if you're looking at the tile and you make it smaller, you won't see those. So you have to have it in either the wide or the large stance. If you click the inbox, you can also click it from the global toolbar on the left-hand side. Then it will take you to your tasks. So that's up here. You can also view tasks that have been assigned to your group and or role. You can see any tasks for workflows that you have submitted in the system. So if you've submitted a workflow and it went off to be assigned to other people, then you don't necessarily have a task assigned to you, but you still want to be able to look at the workflow and see where it is. So tracking would be the location for you in that case. All workflow tasks, obviously, whether or not it's your team task, your tracking, my tasks, doesn't really matter. And then surrogate tasks. So surrogate tasks are things like setting up an out-of-office type of approach for workflows. And we'll talk more about that as we get into it. So starting with my tasks, any page that you're on, it's basically going to look like this. So you have the ability to switch to table view or images. And if you do that, you still get this nice little layout over here. So I've got a whole bunch of different columns in the table. I can see the task. I can also filter tasks and find specific ones. If I select this one, then you can see that I get the same editor area over here, my work area. And if I select overview, I can see all the targets of that workflow. So this is just the objects that are going to get a status at the end of the workflow. So whether that's approved, rejected, obsolete, something along those lines is usually the goal of a workflow. And these are the objects in question. Now, if I expand the top level one, you'll notice that the bolt for assembly is actually got all of those objects inside of it. So this is actually pulling in the objects submitted to the workflow and then setting its children as targets as well. So in here you can add new targets. If you have permissions, you can go through and change this to different layouts. You can preview information related to the object in question, and then you can see if it is your task, you can begin to fill out what you need to fill out. If you go to attachments, then you can see all your targets, but you can also see references or replica proposed targets. Now, in your system, you may not have all of these tables, depending on what they modify, but this is the out-of-the-box view. References, again, are a type of attachment that does not receive a status. So maybe it's supporting documentation, things that need to be attached so that you can review them, but don't necessarily need to be released with the product. If I go to workflow, then I can see the workflow as a whole. So I can see that I've got 2 steps. The green indicates that it is completed successfully. The blue indicates that it is awaiting completion. And then the yellow is the current state. So just pay attention though, if you look in the middle of this, it's going to have a little arrow. So if it has an arrow here, basically there's 2 subtasks to this task. And if I expand it, it'll break those out. So right now it is at a task here, and then in a moment it will move to this task when I assign somebody to the workflow. If you hover over any of this, it's going to give you a little bit more information. And then you can click the arrow to collapse it. You can also change the layouts. So you can go right to left or left to right, whichever one that you want. You can also do what's called fixed, which is kind of the design of it when the administrators built it. And then I like to go left to right. So at this point, I can see the workflow. I can see the information about the workflow. And if I'm in my inbox, I know this is assigned to me. So I can come over to Overview. And you'll notice in this action panel, it's telling me what I need to do. So in here, notice the complete button is gray. So in here, 1 required. So I know that there isn't a person added for a reviewer at the moment. So I'll hit plus, and it'll add a panel over to the right-hand side. And I'm just going to go ahead and assign this to somebody in the system. So at the moment, I am just a basic user. And you'll notice I'm an engineering designer. So if I come out of here, I'm going to do a filter. And you'll notice there's only 1 group member available. That's because whoever has this workflow, whoever built it, has indicated that only DBAs can be here. So I'm going to go ahead and add one of those individuals real quick. So I'm just going to say all DBAs. And this is what you would call a selection for a resource pool. Dynamic participants is another key phrase where you'll see a selection scenario kind of like this, but this is a resource pool. And when we select the DBA resource pool, it'll essentially send this task, this next one that's coming up, to all the people in their team folder. Now, we don't want all the people achieving that task, but what it enables them to do is just claim the tasks for themselves. Now, I am also going to add an additional reviewer. So I've completed the requirements though, and you can see complete is now available, but I'm going to add somebody else as well. So I'm going to add user 01 as an additional reviewer. So in this case, user 01 will get a direct new task for them to perform something. And then the DBAs will all get a task sent to them that basically indicates that this needs to be achieved. Now, I don't need everybody to fill out on this. So maybe I just need, if I select numeric here, 1 person to achieve this. So if the user achieves it or completes it, or a DBA completes it, then in that case, the workflow will move forward. You could also do like a percentage. If you have 8 people, you could do 50%, which is 4. You could also just say, check the box and require everybody to sign off on it. And that's not all DBAs, it's just which DBA finds the task first. If I come into comments, I'm going to say assigned user 01 and DBA to task. I'm going to choose complete. I can look around a little bit more, but that's pretty much it. I'm going to choose complete here to finish that task. Now, before I move on to the next one, notice there is one more tab up across the top here. So I could come in to assignments, and in assignments, I could go through and I can see it's updated user 01 and DBA for the selections. I could, if I had a whole bunch of other tasks, just go ahead and update those. And that way it doesn't come back to me before it hits their inboxes. Notice there's a start, edit, and replace or update over here. All right, I'm going to go back to overview, and then you'll notice that it's lost my comment. And the settings are back. It's stored who I selected though. I'm going to say 1. I'm going to say added users. Just leave it at that this time. Choose complete. And then at that point, it'll go to another type of task. So the task beforehand was kind of like a review task. So it's going to have me look it over, maybe add somebody to it. Whereas this is a do task. So when I select this, it'll still have that major overview, that layout, but you'll see the action area is going to be a little bit different. So I don't have all the selections for the people or the quorum of how many of those individuals I need to fill out. And now this task only asks me to perform a specific action. So sign off team, perform their sign offs. So basically I'm just going through and making a decision. Now I can easily open all of the objects over here, and I like to open them in new tabs. That way I keep this page open. So maybe I need to review this PDF. So I'm going to come in here, select it, and say open in new tab. So I can check out the PDF, let it load, investigate it, do whatever I need to do, close it, and I'm still right here on my page. So I'm going to choose approve, and you'll notice that my tasks disappear at that point because the workflow moves forward. So it didn't need to wait and see the DBA's inbox. Now the DBA's task has also been removed at that point. So if I come back into my inbox, team tracking, nobody has that task. So I'm going to go back to my home, my Explorer. And then when I'm in there, I'm going to select the object. So at this point, there's no tasks for it. So I need to go back to the object as a whole. And if I go back to the object, I can see in the workflow view that this was completed and everything is green. So I can expand the task and you can see all that's good. And then in here, I can also see the comments were added along the path of that workflow. So workflows are, to investigate them, they give a lot of abilities. So you can open them up, you can see the targets, there's different types of tasks, and depending on the type of task you have selected, you'll have a different interaction. Your administrators will set up instructions that are tailored for your workflows, but out of the box you get kind of what I showed. Now there are a ton of workflows in the system, and just note that even though I showed you could filter on different things in the search, if you're looking for specific workflows or specific objects with a status or specific objects that don't have a status, the goal of the workflow, the status always shows up underneath the object. You can see it's called release status here, and you can see these have a couple. And then if I look at the object that I'm standing on up at the top here, you have a flag as well, and they can have multiple statuses or just one. If you hover over, it'll tell you a little bit more about it. Now there is also the in process state over here, and you'll notice that that object is no longer in a process. So there should be an icon here. It looks like a little baseball diamond. So we'll pull that up in future videos. But if you wanted to see everything that had been released, you could easily come into your filters. And as long as this one has been still kept on, it's on by default. We had the in process to see what was in a process. And you'll notice there's none in a process anymore. But if you come into release status, which is this one right here, then you can say, I want to look for anyone that has the release status of perform sign-offs. Now, typically it'd be reject or obsolete. That workflow out of the box assigns this one. But in here, you can see all 4 of those objects popped up. Now, if I applied further filters for maybe I only want to see the Excel, so then I can get just the Excel document off of that matches both of those filters. Again, the advanced search also has objects in process and items in process if you're looking at the more robust kind of background search. But in here, the object is now released. We have it locked down, and we can move on to our next task. So in the next video, what we're going to do is we're going to kind of rehash creating something. In this case, we're going to revise it and talk a little bit about revising. We're going to revise it, and then we're going to submit it into a workflow. Throughout that process, we'll just kind of take you through all of it, and we'll assign things to resource pools to show you what that interaction looks like. We're going to work with a bigger workflow in the next one. and that will give us the ability to go in and show you some reroutes and things that workflows look like when you're interacting with them. Thanks for joining us today. See you in the next video.